Welcome back. Sorry about that. That was nothing to do with our lease line. That was either Restream, YouTube, or some third party that let us down there. So apologies for disappearing off air. The question we had in a short while ago was that what is the hurdles that gripping off the top of the golf club? Effectively stability. If you are having a finger off of the golf club, you're losing out on the purchase that you're going to have. Now, a lot of the time when people grip up the top of the golf club, it makes them feel like they actually get a little bit more set of the golf club. For me, as soon as you start to grip with all fingers on, because I actually used to do this myself as a junior, I used to have my last finger hanging off the top of the golf club. And I remember when I first started doing it and putting my hand all the way back down, it felt like I'd lost all my leverage, but fundamentally having a finger or the pad off the top just makes you feel like you've got a bit more set. So definitely put all of the fingers back on the golf club and definitely allow yourself to have the pad of the club on the top. As I say, it'll feel like you've lost a bit of set and it'll feel a little bit weaker at the start, but in the long run, you'll definitely be better for it.
Remembering one of the questions that came onto here, it was Brian McAllister was asking about what is a shaft that's comparable, there's one for me that's comparable to a Rogue Black. And a follow-up question, is the Rogue Black a little bit counterbalanced? The answer is yes, it is a little bit counterbalanced, although not heavily. So actually, depending on what speed you're at, if you're looking for something that's a very stable, like an X-Flex, then the new Diamana whiteboard really isn't a million miles off. Matt has used the Rogue Black for a long time, and that's a shaft that he's looking at. So certainly the whiteboard, the WB in the stiffer flexes, in the X-Flex, definitely is very, very comparable to that.
Very good. So hopefully you can all jump back online. We've got a good few of you back online, and feel free to send over some questions for us, because obviously it's all gone blank on this end. Maybe
the last couple could.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can't remember what the questions were.
There was one from Tony. Tony had one. He was going to ask you to do something, but I can't remember. I just remember that Tony asked a question.
So we're going to have to ad-lib for the time moment. So in terms of the majors this year, we've got a good run. We're going to have the Players coming up soon. Yeah. We're going to also have, what's the other one? We're going to have Bay Hill coming up.
That'll be up. They'll be doing Bear Trap. That'll be coming up as well. Yeah. PGA National.
Oh,
and always a bit dull because it's dead flat.
And of course. Yes, I mean,
Innsbruck, they always do that one.
Yeah, of course. Who do you see as being a form horse going into this run of play?
Well, you got obviously Matsuyama's just shot a great round, but actually, and someone who I'm quite surprised he's got back to this form quite so soon, Will Zalatoris. He was always up there in the majors, just a quality ball striker. He came second, so 3 shots back from Matsuyama, and one of his family members passed away on the Thursday.
Goodness me.
So, you know, that shows actually mentally how strong he is to go through that this weekend and come out and be beaten by a charging Matsuyama. But he's someone who, I mean, nearly, Matt Fitzpatrick, when he won his US Open, he was right there. I think the PGA was in the playoff for the PGA when Justin Thomas won. He's just thereabouts, and he's clearly able to wield a putter now. So I think what a great story if he went 1-1 this year.
Yeah, very much so. Craig Azzi, what type of player would a Carly blue shaft with a Cobra Aerojet LS head typically fit, in your opinion?
Someone who's a high ball hitter, because the LS is a low spin head and doesn't need that much forgiveness because it's not a particularly forgiving head. I mean, Kylie Blue angle is fairly, I mean, the blue profile in Mitsubishi is quite even. It's a stable butt, softer middle, stable tip, very, very inoffensive, just a good kind of technically a mid-launch shaft. But I think really it's the head that governs that one. The shaft's not overly pointed in terms of balance points, so it's quite even from a delivery point of view, but the LS head's going to bring the flight down. So someone who hits it high and needs low spin.
For those of you joining us back, we had a little bit of a break in transmission. It's not our lease line. No. Don't even start thinking it was our lease line. James thought it was our lease line, But no, it was Restream that shut down on us, so apologies for that. So do feel free to come in and drop those questions back in. Benjamin Ogden, I got fit this weekend for T150s with KBS Tour Pro Plus shafts. Any thoughts on these shafts?
As long as they're right for you, they're great. Ultimately, the KBS Tours are KBS are a very, very good brand. You've got Kim Braley, who's one of the foremost designers of steel shafts going back to the rifle and the Project X days. He and his father started at Brunswick. This is a chap who's incredibly knowledgeable and have a vast range of shafts. But ultimately, it's just got to work for you. They can be, the best shaft for you might be the worst shaft for us. So ultimately, as long as you're getting the results out and the consistency, great. But the heads are fantastic as well. So
Brilliant.
Sounds like a good set.
Looks like we've got a couple coming in there by the looks of it.
So Gary Satterfield, hey guys, I've been playing for like about 30 years. I've never been fitted. I've always sought the club off the shelf. Should I get fitted? Well, I'm obviously going to say yes, but ultimately you wouldn't buy a pair of shoes that didn't fit your feet because it causes injuries, has knock-on effects. With golf, that's sort of an analogy I like to use because you're constantly going to be battling, compensating, hopefully not battling, but certainly compensating for what you've got in the bag if it's not matched to you. So part of the reason the best players are as good as they are is they're not fighting the clubs in any shape or form. Their clubs are made for them and to complement their game. So even if it just says what you have is working well for you, we can make slight tweaks. It's also the confidence to just go out and play. So I would always say, inevitably we do what we do because it makes a difference. So I would always say yes, definitely get fitted.
Very much so. Don't forget, we're going to be drawing the prize for the competition that we ran last week of the collaboration of our Monday Night Lives now. Winner is going to receive a fitting and an in-person or skilless lesson from myself. So do stay tuned for that at the end. Alexander Ward, evening gents. After a disastrous round for myself last week, want to hear your own worst round or moment on a course to make me feel better. I have got a beauty. Also, any more fitting videos on the way? It's been a while.
Sometimes with the fitting videos, it depends whether someone wants to be fitted when they come in, but we're certainly trying to get those in the can soon. I don't have worst moment on a course.
Well, while you're thinking, I'm going to share mine. This is the most embarrassing story I have in my golfing career, and I want to share it all with you. So I'm playing a Pro-Am at La Manga, and it was the second hole, par 5, and I'm playing with 3 people. One of them was my sponsor. And I was a little bit nervous. Second shot into a par 5, hit it right, lose the golf ball. Then I don't find it, hit another one, and play the hole out. And I'm a little bit frustrated. And I put the flagstick back in the hole with a little bit of pace. And in Europe, they had a hole and a little bit of a slatted effect in the hole. And I missed the hole. And the flagstick got jammed in between the hole and the edge of the cup. And of course, my playing partners have walked off the green, and the group is back in the fairway, and they're waiting for the green to clear. And I now can't get this flagstick out of the hole, and so I'm now standing there with both feet around the hole, and I'm trying to pull this flagstick out. And these greens were pure, and so I end up pulling the flagstick out, and I pull the cup out as well. And the cup is now stuck on the end of the flagstick. One of my amateurs then has to come onto the green and has to pull the hole off the other end of the flagstick, and we're having a game of tug of war on the flagstick, trying to pull the cup off the end of it. And he was a guy called Ray Stevens. He was an Olympic judo silver medalist, lovely chap, super strong guy. And we were having this game of tug of war with a club. With the flagstick and the hole, and we popped the hole back in, dusted it all around, popped the flagstick in, and then walked on to the next hole. And to say that I was crimson was an understatement, but that was my worst moment on a golf course, bar none.
Well, you can't possibly ask me to top that, can you? I was going to go for a shank.
Honestly, so my advice: never lose it with the flagstick, and try and jam it back in the hole at pace. let that be a lesson to you. Thanks for the question.
That's a good. I can't trump that. The funniest thing I've seen is someone have a head off, miss a shot, chuck a club, got stuck up a tree.
Right.
Got another club out the bag, chucked it up to try and get it down. That got stuck up the tree, so the bag followed it. Highly amusing. Wasn't me, hasten to it.
Well, there you go. Paul Dunn, good evening, guys. Nice to have you with us, Paul. 2 7-irons delivered exactly the same. One has a shaft 20 grams heavier. Which one will hit the ball further? Same swing speed, decent angle, everything. Total mass win, question mark.
Well, if you're putting it on a robot, so it's exactly the same input, then in theory, the heavier club will hit it very slightly further. But you're not looking at an awful lot. You think it's a 20-gram shaft difference, but you've got to factor in this 7-iron head's 265 grams. The grip's 50. So you're automatically looking at 325 grams there plus the shaft. So it's a 400-gram plus club. So you're looking at 5% difference in terms of raw weight. So you're looking at a couple of yards, I would say, just for that mass difference.
Yeah. Beautiful. Looks like there's a couple coming in there.
Mr. John, Gary Satterfield said LOL.
Yes.
John Puckett, love both channels, a ton of improvements in supplying your information to my own game. Stu, using the band drill for pressure on the handle has improved angle of attack, path and face angle. Thank you. He said, however, I cannot take your advice with fashion. Simon, taking your philosophy of shaft weight and seen a ton of improvement, X100 to Modus 120X, hitting further with less labour on the body. So not a question, but a few statements.
Yeah, well, I mean, why is it with everyone and taking Mickey out of my clothing?
Makes a change. I mean, I've got pink on.
You've got pink on, and you're getting away with it. I'm not sure how that's working out. Matthew Seltz, thank you anyway, John. Matthew Seltz, glad you're playing some good golf. Matthew Seltz, would a comparable wedge shaft make sense, or for? Let me start again. Would a comparable wedge shaft make sense, or only for something I'm taking full swings with?
So there are some players that we have exact match all the way through irons into wedges in terms of shaft, and then there are probably 65–70% will go a little bit heavier because you're not putting as full a swing on, you don't need the shaft weight to come with you. So actually it starts to become a little bit more vertical. You want the club to pull you down into impact. So a lot of the time you go a little bit heavier. But if the player is a very dead arm player, very much kind of rotation based, which it probably makes sense to kind of rather than just describe it. So if I can get a club out, where's that there? So by rotation based, I mean if it's very dead arm, so if a player's very much all about kind of rotation and very quiet arms there, then you'll tend to see a bit of a, say, lower finish, less pull on the handle, and we'll often go into the same shaft through into wedges for that kind of action. The moment you get someone that has a little bit more of a pull on the handle and a bit more of a kind of drive onto it, you're using the weight differently, so we'd often go a little heavier for that kind of action. But it does vary a little bit person to person, but that's the base principle of it.
Very good, very good. Tim G, with the spin separation we see in golf balls now, particularly Titleist, TaylorMade and Callaway, how do you account for that in fit indoors with TrackMan?
Titleist have got the, I was going to call the RTX balls, RCT, so there's a layer underneath the paint that gives the reflection and gets the TrackMan measured spins, really, really reliable spin. So we'll start with the ball that the player's using as a matter of course, so we know their gamer ball, and then based on what we find through adjusting, looking at the club heads and the shafts, where their natural flight is, we can see whether more or less spin is going to be of benefit from a kind of, certainly an iron player, a control point of view coming to the green, or lower or higher spin with a driver or fairway wood for getting the best balance of carry and roll. So there comes a feel preference as well within that, but we can certainly guide us to what the right spin profile of ball is based on someone's ball flight. Ian Cox, thanks for the Swiss ball demo, Stu, and print trousers, brave man. Very true.
He is, he is brave. He is brave.
So another comment from John Puckett saying about switching to Modus 120X iron shafts, have S400s in my 54 and 60. Is that too big of a difference in weight from irons to wedges? Which is a sort of follow on to the last question. Not necessarily. The Modus 120 in the X is about 120 grams in the wedge shaft. So you're looking about a 10 to 15 gram uplift, which is on the upper end of things, but isn't excessive. So as long as it's working, great.
Super. Richard Skinner, do you have the new Ventus Plus Velocore shaft in stock? Can you do a comparison with the Ventus Plus, the Ventus Blue and the Ventus TR? Can you also compare the new TM TP5, TP5X versus Pro V1? I mean, we might not be able to do all of that this evening, Richard, but we can probably have a go.
So we've got the Velocore Plus due in very shortly, and as soon as we have that, then we'll certainly do that comparison. Yeah. In terms of the new tailor-made balls, I actually do have, they were the prototypes at the time, but I can do. It's whether we do a separate video or do that in here.
Well,
but
we hit
on time
yeah,
what was it? It was the Pro V.
It was the
which
Pro,
TP5 was it? The X or the
TP5X versus the Pro V1.
2 seconds. I'll grab that from the workshop.
Lovely. David Woods, have we got any questions on the long? No. So let's have a little look. Niels Axelson says, hilarious story, Stu. I had the whole movie running in my head. It's kept me up at night, Niels. Let me tell you that. A scary moment in a young man's career in Pro-Ams. Hello from Leeds. Glad I made it home in time for the live show after dropping my clubs in with you guys at lunchtime. Can't wait to play my new stuff. Well, thanks very much for joining us, Ben. I had a chap in today, Brandon, who's a keen golfer. His 9-iron club head speed was 95 miles an hour and his 7-iron speed was 101. And I had to hold on because it felt like I was going to get sucked into the vortex of the downswing.
It's despicable, isn't it?
It's scary stuff. It's scary stuff. Very, very impressive. So if you're watching, Brandon, good evening. Nice to see you today.
He's probably having more Weetabix.
Yes, he is. Who else have we got here? Can't remember the rest of my question, but I'm a new follower to both channels and wanted to say hello from Wisconsin in the United States. Well, it's nice to have you along.
Good afternoon.
Matthew Seltz.
Some lovely golf from Wisconsin.
Hi guys, David Edwards, T150 bent 1 degree weak v T100 bent 1 degree strong, question mark.
T150 is going to be a couple of hundred revs lower spin and a little bit higher ball speed because of the channel in the back, but it's engineered to be a little bit lower spin as well. So you're likely to hit it 3 or 4 yards. I'd have thought 3 to 5, maybe probably 3 or 4 yards longer with the 150 versus the 100 on a slightly flatter spin. Yeah,
I'm interested to see these balls, the ball demo here with the spin variations.
6-iron. We'll give it a 6-iron first.
Yeah.
So I'll start off with a Pro V1. So both fairly low spin balls.
Yeah. Simon, as usual, has hit about 300 golf balls this evening. I'm fresh off the back of a lesson.
Who's teaching you?
Christos.
Yeah,
Christos.
It probably was actually.
Christos, the young superstar. Yeah. What are we? That was a nice move there.
So,
what are we spinning at? 4.8,
just under 5. So I prefer a slightly lower spin ball because I prefer a slightly flatter flight and to work it up if I need to. So I've actually gone from, I used to play TP5 previously, but I was about 7 yards shorter with the driver. I'm not giving that up. So
yeah.
So I had to add a bit of loft to my long irons. So I hit another one with a 6 just to get a marker. A little lower on the face, but yeah, 4.7, a little bit lower, so turn that down a little bit.
Yeah.
So the first one was more representative, really, flight-wise, 15.5, and then 4.8, 4.9 on spin. So strongish.
Yeah. Okay.
Then TP5X, which has always been a low spin ball. I think Rory was saying he's picked up 5 to 7 yards, I think, with a new ball from a ball speed point of view.
Right.
Different feel, definitely different sound. So a little bit more launch.
But the spin rate's identical to
the spins down, yeah.
What?
Well, it's lower spin. So the spin's the same as the lower launch with the Pro V1,
But
but at higher launch. So spin relative to launch is. Just press ESC. Spin relative to launch is. Oh, hang on, I know what you can do. So we just clicked on something to get it up. Let's clear that. Oh, there we go. So the spin with the Pro V1 on the better launch was 4.8 with a launch of 15.7, and that was 16.3 launch with just under 4.7 on spin. So let me give that one more.
Yeah.
Definitely launches a little higher than the Pro V1. What was that last one there? Yeah, 16.1 launch, 4.7. So very consistent, but a couple of hundred revs lower spin than the Titleist with a little bit higher launch angle. What was the ball speed? Yeah, if I do one more with the Pro V1, interested just from a ball speed comparison though. So definitely that little bit of a lower launch. Yeah.
But you see, the problem I have with this,
Could be looking at changing ball.
the problem I have with this, Simon, is that, you know, so this one here, you know, your face to path is shut.
Pulled that a little bit, yeah.
And the spin rate's at 4.5, and then you've got another one at 2 shut to path, and then you've got the other two that are more neutral,
just better swings,
and then the spin rate's up. So the difference between spin rates is so minor.
Yeah, let's see if I can square off one with the Pro V1 rather than flipping it a little bit. That was squarer. Yeah, there you go. So squarer there, similar launch, but spin is a couple of hundred revs higher.
Yeah.
With the Pro V1.
Yeah.
That was the pulley one with the Pro V1. And then that's the TaylorMade.
Yeah. But you're talking 200 revs?
Yeah, 200 revs. There is a bit more ball speed off the TaylorMade though. But about what are we looking? So that one, 144 efficiency. Both were good hits. 144 efficiency, 129. You know, same ball speed, but mile an hour more club speed with the last one. So there's a little bit in the ball speed.
Yeah.
Out of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is a little bit of something ball speed wise in there.
A little bit something for the weekend, sir. We've got a few questions coming in on my channel there. We've got plenty coming in over at on the Precision. Let me ask you one. Kevin T, please can you do an in-depth look at the numbers and what they mean when doing a fitting? Also, would be good to see a senior fitting. I'm 60 and was fitted 10 years ago. The guys, when we're doing fittings, will always run through the data with the client and explain what the numbers mean, where the optimization is, what the tie-in with the swing dynamics are as well. So any fitting that you watch of ours, you'll have a reasonable in-depth discussion and explanation of the data points, because not every client of ours that comes in is au fait with all of the TrackMan numbers. So any of our content on the Precision Golf channel is going to cover those data points.
We can do a video on it though as well. I think
sure,
going into the key bits that are what we look for and why. That's certainly something we can add in there for sure.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Craig Higgins, evening gents. What's your thoughts on the Tour aim?
On the Tour aim with PGA Tour.
I might need a little bit of just a little bit of extra context, Craig, if you can, just in terms of whether it's if that's a technique or whether it's to do with the tour, or just add a little comment in, and we'll come back to that for sure.
Brilliant.
Brandon Peters, definitely watching on Stu, wouldn't miss it. Awesome lesson today. Thank you so much. By the way, I'm a big fan of the shirt.
Oh, thank you, Brandon. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, someone likes my shirt. So, Bry Mill, I'm a senior golfer and just wondering if there is any advantage of getting the Hack Motion Center. I don't think my wrists are working right. I think the Hack Motion is a great bit of kit. It gives you the orientation of your wrist angle, flexion and extension, gives you some rotation, gives you some tempo in there as well. Great bit of kit. They've got 3 different layers, got an entry level all the way up to the coaches level. I believe it's a great bit of kit, and it gives you some models swings as well that you can choose from that will be able to tie up with your style of swing as well. So I would definitely recommend it. And if you want a 5% off, you can click on my channel, and all of the descriptions in my videos, there's a 5% discount affiliate code there to get a little bit of money off as well. James Linton, what are your thoughts on going from driving iron to driver without fairways, hybrids in between? What driving irons give particularly impressive distances, and are there any new models coming soon?
So I know James Linton, and he hits it very hard. So any driving iron for you, sir, is going to give an impressive distance. I think for someone like James, who's a long hitter, he's got a lot of speed. You've got to look at this bit of the bag. You've got to look at what's the primary function, and what are we trying to achieve there. So, how often are you going to be going at a green with this bit of the bag? Not that often, because 6 iron goes about 210 yards when he gets it right. So actually it's about finding fairways and consistency. So there's a strong argument for going from driver to driving iron, because a 3-wood, other than going at a short par 4, doesn't really have that much function, but a driving iron being a shorter shaft can keep it in play more. So in James's case, I think there's a very, very strong argument for going driver and driving iron. I might just need which ones were? I mean, the Titleist, the U505 is forgiving, and I mean they're all going to be pretty long. But from a forgiveness point of view, the U505 is very good. Seen good results off. The Mizuno ones have always been a softer feel. The Strixon one's one I play, which is a softer feel as well. They're all trying to maximise ball speed, so I don't think you're going to go far wrong with any of them. But Titleist with the U505 do a 1-iron down at 16 degrees, so that might be where that falls in a good place for you.
Big questions coming from Robin Morton. Asks Simon, are you going to have a posh shirt next week?
It depends. It depends. I mean, I'll have to see what what kind
trouser
of,
belt,
what kind
shoe
of combo works. Yeah. I like to wear the Precision Golf top, but I'm sure I can put on a shirt for you if you like and go smarter.
Very good.
You'll be surprised now I have some good colours in shirts. So.
Tony asks, if you have a really strong grip due to being a fader or slicer, how exactly should your right hand grip be on the golf club? I struggle to find the correct position. It is an interlock grip, by the way. So the grip is a bit of a passion of mine. So if your left hand is on in the right manner, I would always put the palm to the floor and really place the palm on top to cover the thumb, and then grip it with the fingers, rather than most golfers go in from underneath, place it too much in the base of the fingers, and it becomes too strong. If you've got a strong left hand, you really do need a palm that feels like it's facing the floor with your right hand, because it's going to allow your right forearm to have some external rotation. When you've got a strong left hand, if your right hand is strong as well, what you end up doing is getting quite a little bit of a hood going on the way back, and then you get a bit of a crossover. And this thought and belief that just because you're a slicer, if you go double strong with both hands, you can actually end up being even bigger slicer, because if you've got a double strong grip, so the left hand is over and the right hand is over, if you were to make a decent pass at it with a decent move, you would be hitting it so far left, and invariably what you then end up with is a golfer with the same grip ends up trying to hold it off, and before you know it,
you've got Tiger Woods on the mat.
You've got a shank in your hands, and you see that. I've seen more shankers now with this prevalence of really hook grips with both hands and the tucking of right elbows. More shankers than ever before. So go cautious with going strong with the left and strong with the right. The right hand needs to really sit on top. You must see a good few in the bay along the way.
What's Armitage?
Yes.
It's always something. One of the things that, and actually probably a follow on to that is what So I might think, what happens if that happens in a fitting? Well, if we're in a full bag session, we go straight to driver. get someone kind of freeing the swing up and get it going because it starts to tense up, and then go back to it afterwards. That often works out really well. But yeah, I think, as you say, that kind of handle gets started to shove forward, and the last thing that happens is then rotation, and then the hosel just goes straight to the ball. So,
nasty stuff.
and then you get squash shots going on around there. So, and it's something that, you know, we feel for players at the Bay if that happens. It's something, you know, we all want everyone to do their best in the Bay, and the problem is sometimes when you try too hard, it can make it worse. So the best thing you can do is relax, chill out, enjoy yourself, and have some fun and free it up. A quick comment, Gary Satterfield, do you guys ever make it over to the States? We do for the trade show in January or for the odd vacation, but because we're currently so full on here, we've got our hands full in the bays here. But you never know, But James and I are always there for the trade show end of January in Orlando. And then I think Matthew Seltzer, did Craig mean aim point? And then Craig said, apologies, Tor aim is a true target alignment system.
Never heard of it.
Not something that we're aware of. No. I mean, alignment is something that we often see people have issues with. It's normally as a result of something else that's going on with the swing that the aim, like for me, I've always, you know, hence maybe needing that Swiss ball, moved off it, back on, flipped it. So I always tend to aim right just because it's more comfortable to rotate it back in, and then it just doubles up and makes everything worse.
And you know, aim is a very important part of someone's makeup, but what you'll usually find is that if someone is a face to path, someone that is a negative face to path, someone that bends the ball left, invariably you'll see someone aim right. And if someone is a slicer of the golf ball, you'll invariably see someone aim left. That's a general rule of thumb that's at sort of 80–85% of golfers. Then you'll see the odd one that has the right foot drawn back because they believe that that's going to help them hook and draw the golf ball. It doesn't really work out that way. Again, a quick fire way to getting the shanks going on. So aim is very much reliant on what bend you see in the sky. So I'm a big believer in obviously alignment, but if you've got a bend that's starting to become a little bit dominant, it's at that point you really want to be checking your alignment. It's the aim comes secondary, if you like. Once you get this big bend going on in the sky, that affects your aim. Don't fix the aim, fix the bend. Fix the bend, and then the aim will start to re-establish itself. So that would be my advice to you.
Riddle of the day.
Yeah.
Riddle me this, riddle me that.
Exactly right.
Ms. Ellie Nerd says, I think tonight's shirt's very understated. Stu, I like it. And Neil said, if only Stu could let the paint dry on the shirt before wearing it. Oh, we do have a good line, if you can see it that clearly.
Gee whiz,
so plain colours are always the key.
I get it. I get ammo or abuse from customers here, and now I'm getting it from YouTube.
We did say, you know, fire the banter in.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. Bring it on.
Shirt and tie next week.
Yeah, I know, right? So we've got Null 988. Hi guys, I have P790s. They feel head heavy. Is there any shaft you could recommend to make the head less heavy?
So it depends what shaft you've got in there at the moment, but generally speaking, in a steel, the KBS Tor Light, Dollar Taper, and they're all higher balance steel shafts. Or you've got things like, again, depends what weight you're already in, but some of the steel fibres or graphite will often, there are some that are very tip heavy, but they will often bring the balance point up the shaft a little bit. But it depends what your start point is as to what a relevant option is. So maybe let us know what you're currently playing, and I can give something that's a similar weight but going to help with that.
Yeah, very much so. Michael Barber, hi guys, any tips to stop me from overswinging in the backswing, please? Let me give you a little tip. A great one to do is really an overswing in a backswing usually comes from poor leg action. I know it's a bit of a weird one. What are you talking about? Why is my leg action causing a poor... Nice socks, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Look at that.
I mean, I'm getting grief about my shirt, and then he's turning up with pink polka dot black trousers, black short. Why wouldn't so when a golfer, you know, you think about how golfers have thought about loaded into their right side. You move your weight across, your pelvis becomes short in turn, and then all of a sudden you can't turn your shoulders. And then what tends to happen is your arms overrun, and they try to make up the shortfall in your body. So you end up with this with this long backswing. And then what happens is golfers tell you, well, you want to get a little bit more width in your backswing, and now you've got a short body turn, and now you've got a short arm swing, and then you precisely hit it nowhere. So in a way to lengthen your or shorten up your arm swing, you need to increase your body turn. So a great drill is to make a backswing and step to the left. So as you make a backswing, if you step to the left, what will happen is your right hip will start to open up. And as you start to open up your right hip, then all of a sudden you'll start to feel that you've got more shoulder turn. Now when you've got a bit more shoulder turn, you can now start to feel a little bit wider with your right arm. So what will happen is you'll encourage more hip and shoulder turn, and then what you'll do by widening the right arm, you'll start to drag the arm back to your chest. And then what you might end up with is a backswing that looks a little bit more like this than a backswing that's sat across, short in turn, and an overswing. So my advice, sort the leg action out, a little bit of a step to the left as you make a backswing, and then feel a little bit more width in your right arm. That will solve your overswing, my friend.
And polka dot socks.
And the pink polka dot socks are just an absolute winner. Absolute winner.
I've got to put out an outfit and a half next week. Matthew Seltz, do you have a recommendation for a hitting mat? We actually use a Southwest turf. It's gone through a few names. I think it's called Pro T. It's the same one they use at the Titleist Fitting Centre at Woburn. It's got a pile about an inch thick, so it takes a lot of the sting out of your joints. So a lot of the mats are that much rubber and a fraction of kind of felt on the top. So there's a lot of shock going back into your joints. Whereas actually this one, the mat goes with the hit, so it moves as much like turf as you can from this kind of surface, but it absorbs a lot of the shock, so it's not going to do wrists and elbows any damage. So that's why we use this.
Yeah, it's a great mat. Grip It. Just want to say a big thank you to Simon for my full bag fitting on Thursday morning last week. An incredible experience that I'd encourage anyone to do. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Very nice of you to say so. Kevin T, great thanks. I look forward to it. Josh Wright. Thoughts on single length shafts across the irons like Bryson?
There's an element of argument for it to minimise variables for someone who's very new to the game. What doesn't happen is you don't get a progression in swing plane, you don't get a progression in as much of a progression in club speed. But what happens is the swing plane, because you're not shallowing out as the clubs get longer and steepening as the club gets shorter, the launch angles vary a little bit. So you don't get the height you would out of a progressed length long iron, and you hit it higher and less controlled than you do with a progressed length short iron. So there is a reason why nobody else other than Cobra and a couple of component brands that you've never heard of really, although designed by, one by Tom Wishon, who's a very good designer, but there's a reason why very few do it. And we'll always see in a gapping someone's better with an 8 iron than a 6 iron because it's shorter. So you want the control, you want the angle of attack from a flight control point of view in your wedges. And there's also a reason why Bryson is an exceptional golfer, but he's not as good with his wedges proportionally as really you might expect him to be. And I think a 7 iron length 60 degree was certainly one of the reasons for it.
Very much so. Tim G, if you have an ordinary TP5, please could you hit it also?
I'd have to whiz in and get it from the other room.
As we're running out of time, we'll do that next week because
the only one I do have, we've had a request for, is the Z-Star Diamond.
Hit the Z-Star Diamond.
A quick hit of, which is Brooks.
We've got 4 minutes to go. We'll do the draw for the prize. Make sure you hang around. And if you are new to our Monday Night Live, we do this every week, 6 p.m. Simon's beautiful socks and my choice shirts are here every week. Nice strike. Nice strike.
When the back clicks on your backswing as well.
Yeah, nice strike.
So, big difference here, spin.
Look at that.
So the Z-Star Diamond...
Why am I not using that golf?
Is about 1,000 revolutions more spin than the TaylorMade ball. So if you're a low spinner of the ball, the Z-Star Diamond is a much better ball.
Fabulous, fabulous. Kyle, have we got any questions on over?
It's Mizali Nerd. Keep collapsing my front knee in my backswing without realising. Can't seem to correct it, but it seems to be habit more than anything else, as I wasn't doing it before. Any suggestions, as it's ugly?
I did a video on the left knee on my channel. Head over and check that out. What I'll do is I'll pop the link to it up in the description or comments in this video. It will give you far better idea of how to adjust it. It's a simple trick, and I don't think I've got anything here that I could use to demonstrate it. So head over and check out a video I've done. As I say, I'll pop it in the descriptions below later on.
And Gary Satterfield said if he ever comes across the pond for a lesson, would a 6-pack cover the fee?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. 6-pack of Laurent Perrier champagne? Perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Side order of caviar. Kyle Amick, I know Stu talks about pulling on the handle with the light grip pressure. Has he ever tried Jumbo Max Ultra Light grips? The smaller ones, not the huge ones. If it seems to help with grip pressure. No, I haven't.
That's just a grip size thing. If the grip's too small, you have to hold on to it to stop it moving around in your hands. The same could apply to a standard mid-size in that respect. So getting the grip sizing right allows your hands to stay free and takes that tension out. So that's just rather than solely being aligned to the Jumbo Max, that's just getting the right grip size.
I just don't want something fat in my hands.
It's not something you're used to, though, is it?
What's the difference? I tee him up, he hits him out the park. What's the difference between hard step and soft stepping a set of irons? Is the difference noticeable to an average mid-handicap golfer?
It's a fine tune, so the step is in a set of taper tip shafts where you get a 4-iron, 5-iron, 6-iron, 7-iron shaft. You put a soft step is you put the 6-iron and the 7-iron, the 5-iron and the 6-iron. So essentially each shaft has a progression of about a gram and a bit. So you're softening it very slightly. Reality is it's the weight, it's a couple of grams in weight change which makes a difference, and a hard step is the other way, a 7-iron in the 6-iron, 8-iron shaft in the 7-iron. So you're firming it up slightly, but you're making it slightly heavier. So it's a bit like tip trimming a wood shaft to adjust flex, but it's a very slight fine tune on weight. Is it noticeable? The answer is yes, but it's a real fine tune.
Any answers on there? Questions?
Ms. Ali Nerd, thank you, gents.
Brilliant. Well, that concludes this evening, but we've got the prize draw. I knew. I
mean, if you can pronounce Patty
Patty
Tavatanakit without rehearsal, then I'm full faith in the memory.
You pick, you pickle, you share. So this person is going to win a club fitting, a driver fitting with Simon, and an online or in-person lesson with myself.
Mr. Mauser 63.
Now,
well done, sir.
He normally launches abuse at me or you.
Oh, well, that covers
written
so many, in the stars,
it covers many people, to be fair, with the way this is going. So Mauser,
be solely in white next week, aren't you?
Mauser, contact us, Stuart at precisiongolf.co.uk and James at precisiongolf.co.uk. Drop an email on both of those email addresses.
I'm not trusted on email.
No, barely knows what a laptop is. But again, super live tonight. Busy week ahead for you?
Busy week ahead, yeah. I mean, this time of year is full on, but it's great fun. Everyone's really, it's been great. Everyone's been in great moods and really excited about the new kit. It's been really fun.
I don't know about you, but it's a lovely time of year. It's like when you start to get out the back of February, and then you start to you've got to remember when your first waft of freshly cut grass, and it's going to be soon. We're going to be getting into March. It's warm out there. I mean, and I don't mean that kind of grass, James. It's going to be warm out there. I mean, warm in the UK. 14 degrees it was in the UK today, which is unheard of for February. Normally it's winter mitts and all sorts of nastiness. So it's a really exciting time ahead.
Run into the Masters. Oh.
Yeah. We want to say a big thank you for all of you that have tuned in this evening for another Monday Night Live.
And retuned in as well. So thank you for coming back.
That wasn't the lease line. That was Restream. So we'll be dropping them an email. We're back again next week, 6 p.m. usual time. If you have any content or any questions that you want us to cover ahead of time, feel free to drop them in the description below, in the comments below. We'll always get around to doing any requests that we that we get in. And we've got some guests that we're going to be bringing in over the next few weeks. Henny Koyak has now joined us. She is now part of the Precision Golf team. Henny played on tour, did a lot of close work with Tiger Woods. So she's going to be joining us on One of the Lives over the coming months. And we're going to try and get Charlie Hull on at some point, perhaps. That's me putting it out there. But it'd be nice to maybe have a little 30-second chat with her at some point. So loads of content coming your way. If you are new to either of these channels, do give us a like and a subscribe, and do share with your friends. From Simon and I, thank you so much for being with us, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week.